So I'm going to step out from behind the podium because I've been told I don't actually get above it. Thank you, Rich. And I really want to thank Senator Lee and his staff for inviting me to join you today. When I heard that Senator Lee wanted to do this summit and focus on collaboration, I got really excited. And it's because I'm such a strong believer in collaboration, including and perhaps especially in the areas of creativity and innovation, which is the intersection where my agency lives. So I work for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. We are the agency charged with issuing patents and registering trademarks to intellectual property owners, to people who can prove to us that they meet the statutory requirements for patentability and who can prove that they are using their mark in a way that supports it having a federal registration. And it's quite an amazing place to live and work. But prior to being at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I spent 20 years of my life as an intellectual property attorney. I usually tell people there isn't an intellectual property rodeo that I haven't ridden in. Most of them I have the belt buckle, the sash, and sometimes the crown from riding in those rodeos. But creativity and innovation are the cornerstones of economic success in the United States. And one might say, right, that they are fundamental tenets of the Rocky Mountain West, and even here in Utah. Our ancestors, in order to survive in this environment and in the Rocky Mountain West, they had to be creative and innovate virtually everything that they did. So we all create and innovate every day, and sometimes even without realizing it. And our creations and innovations, once we protect and commercialize them, have the power to change the lives of others. Sometimes we innovate because we're frustrated with the current solution. How many of you in the audience use Waze? Does anyone? Okay. All right. Thank you, fellow Wazers. I just want to say that. So Waze is a crowdsourced turn-by-turn navigation system app that goes on your phone. And rather than map out every single road, Waze relies on its millions of users to act as traffic cops. I know I might have avoided a ticket. Field ops and cartographers by recording updates on accidents and bottlenecks in traffic as they drive. It sucks in and aggregates all this real-time user data on speed and location and routes and so on, using it to build out and refine its own maps and to calculate the best possible routes or reroutes, as the case may be, for its drivers. I use it every day, and I have experienced some really interesting commutes due to its real-time updating of the traffic conditions in and around Denver. It's taken me into places that I probably never would have gone. But overall, it gives me the accurate timing of my commute, which, when you're a working mom, is a really important thing to be able to tell someone, I will be there before 6 o'clock in order to pick up my child. So please don't call the sheriff. So it's really become absolutely essential in my day. But Waze's inventor started out just wanting to get from place to place as quickly as possible and without asking for directions. So as all of you might guess, he was frustrated with 2008 GPS technology. So he started mapping out Israel alone. And then he started using some of his fellow drivers, in fact, 1,500 of them, in what it has to be one of the most collaborative ways of creating a product. And he turned that into FreeMap, which then later turned into Waze. And in 2013, Waze was bought by Google and changed the way that I and about 50 million other users drive every single day. And that's the essence of innovation. When you build on existing knowledge and technology by trying new things and seeing what does and does not work, and collaborating with others and doing it again and again to refine your product to make it something useful for others. And of course, creativity and innovation rarely take place in a vacuum. As we walk through life every day, we see things that motivate and inspire us. We interact with others that may have knowledge that we don't. And that gives us insight, no matter how small that insight may be. There's a book that I really enjoy called Seeing What Others Don't by author Gary Klein. And in it, he describes the work of scientist Martin Chalfie, who was studying the nervous system of worms, which had to be dissected in order to study their anatomy and processes. But of course, if you're dissecting something, you're killing it, so that means you're not studying a live organism. And Dr. Chalfie was frustrated by this because he wanted to study the neural system of worms, and he wanted to see how they worked in action. And so in 1989, he attended a lunchtime lecture on the protein that causes bioluminescence in jellyfish. And as he attended this lecture, he tells the story of how he was struck by, maybe if I can figure out how to isolate this protein, inject it in my worms, and send it out, maybe I can study these worms without having to kill them. And so he did exactly that. He made the connection, isolated the protein, which is called the green fluorescent protein, for those of you who are wondering, injected that protein into his worms and created a natural flashlight that allowed him to watch the workings of the neurons in living organisms. He won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry for working with GFP in 2008, and his work with GFP has become the workhorse of the molecular biology industry. It's been put to all kinds of uses. They use it in cancer research, surgeries, virus research, and that's just to name a few. And all of that because he attended a lunchtime lecture on jellyfish. It's those things, usually created through the work and effort of our fellow human beings, our interactions with others, whether they're planned or unplanned, and working with others that gives us ideas and causes us to think differently about life and the challenges we face every day. And it's this type of creative collaboration that is central to success in life, whether it's in the classroom, the laboratory, corporate conference room or boardroom, or in the government. And I have been blessed enough to experience the power of collaboration in every single one of those settings. I have lots of war stories we can tell. But I can tell you that no matter what I or my team was trying to accomplish, we could not have done it as nearly as effectively and successfully without working together. And it's important to note, right, because we're talking a lot about collaboration today. It's not always pretty. There's disagreement, there's different opinions, there's different approaches that might be desired, and it's not about being best friends with everyone or even necessarily liking the people you're working with. But collaboration is about bringing your ideas, your passion, your mind, your heart, and your soul to the table and keeping your eyes on the goal, whatever that goal may be. It's about setting aside any baggage, putting your best self forward, and focusing on the common good. And when you can do this, everyone benefits, and the end result or innovation will be much more valuable as a consequence. And of course, I do have to say this because I represent the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There is a line between creative collaboration, inspiration, and stealing, so please don't do that. But that line is also where my agency comes in. And it becomes necessary for small businesses and entrepreneurs to protect their innovations, their ideas, their brands, and their trademarks by working with us. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, because I do want to give you some of the tools that we've innovated in order to help you more. So working for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, we're one of the oldest federal government agencies. For those of you who don't know, Thomas Jefferson was actually our first patent examiner. So yes, we date back to about 1793. And in the 220 plus years since, we have had one location outside of Washington, D.C. We have innovated pretty significantly over the last 5 years by starting our regional offices, and we now have 4 regional offices, 1 in each time zone: Denver, Dallas, Detroit, and San Jose. And we're doing a whole lot more to collaborate with independent inventors, startups, and small businesses and entrepreneurs, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. So at the USPTO, we think that transparency is critical to the success of our agency and to collaboration. And we believe in the power of regular, open communication with those who do business before us or use our services or resources. And I think the question that we ask ourselves all the time is, how can we do our jobs effectively if we don't know what you need? And so we want you to engage with us, so please do. My number, my email, if you want to reach out and talk to me about something that the Patent Office is doing great, I would love to have that conversation. Even if you want to talk about something that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is not doing well, we will definitely have that conversation and try to work together to improve it. We host regular conversations in the forms of roundtables and meetings and programs with our stakeholders across the country. For example, we are hosting our cybersecurity partnership meeting in Colorado Springs on September 6th, along with the National Cybersecurity Center. and the Air Force. We are bringing our China IP Roadshow right here to Salt Lake City on October 5th of this year, collaborating with the Utah Bar IP Section, Utah Export Assistance Center, and the Utah SBA. And like I said, one huge way that we've innovated is the regional offices, and the events that I just mentioned demonstrate the thought behind establishing regional offices around the country to better reach and serve and collaborate with those who need our services and resources the most. We really do want to serve you where you are. So through our headquarters in Alexandria, the 4 regional offices, we offer free information on intellectual property, resources, programs, and through partnerships with other organizations and federal agencies. So I want to talk about 3 of those programs that are of interest to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And the first one is the Pro Bono program. So through our Pro Bono program, under-resourced inventors and entrepreneurs can receive free legal assistance in obtaining patent protection for their inventions. When we built this program, we recognized that access to the intellectual property system, especially access to patents in particular, is a really expensive proposition. And so we wanted to build this program with universities, bar associations, and other partners across the country. We did that. We now have 20 programs across the country in all 50 states. Utah is served by a program that's based out of Denver, which collaborates with volunteer attorneys in Utah to give their time and to help Utah inventors and entrepreneurs succeed. And we're also launching a new pro bono program with the University of Idaho's College of Law this year. Our Office of Enrollment and Discipline, to move on to our law school clinic program, oversees the practice of intellectual property, but they also run this law school clinic program across the nation. We have about 50 programs running across the United States and 1 in Puerto Rico, in case you wanted to go there to invent. But our law school clinics provide IP services to the public, and the services are provided by students that are supervised by attorneys. So the students get practical experience in representing their clients, and it gives the public free intellectual property resources, which to me is a win-win. And again, that's not possible without collaboration with individual law schools and the legal practitioners who commit to serve as faculty supervisors. And the final program that we have that I want to talk about is our Patent and Trademark Resource Centers. So our Patent and Trademark Resource Centers is a nationwide network of about 85 public, state, and academic libraries. These PTRCs, because we're in the government and we love acronyms, are authorized to disseminate patent and trademark information and support the diverse intellectual property needs of the public. They act as our representative when we cannot be there in person to give out IP information, and they have access to all of our databases so that if you are a proponent of the fail-fast methodology of entrepreneurialism, you can come into a PTRC, find out that somebody has invented your idea before you, and you have already failed. And you failed fast, and you failed forward, because now you know you need to renew your business plan. So Utah's Patent and Trademark Resource Center is based at the University of Utah's Marriott Library. You don't have to be a student in order to go use the PTRC, and it's available to anyone who may need intellectual property assistance. So as I alluded to before, though, the USPTO is not alone in the federal government in our efforts to collaborate with the private sector. Among others, our sister agencies within the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Small Business Administration, and especially the Minority Business Development Agency, which has an innovation commercialization and entrepreneurship program, which is designed to help business access and commercialize technology developed at a federal lab into new products and services for domestic and global markets. In essence, you get to check out a federal scientist and his or her technology in order to try and commercialize it. It's totally worth looking into. We frequently join together with those agencies to showcase the resources that everybody offers, such as through the SBA Small Business Innovation Road Tour, which my assistant regional director was just here in Utah in March for that, and through events like the USPTO's Invention Con, which we just held in August of this year. We conduct joint programming and office hours, we make referrals, we do one-on-ones to ensure that those who need our resources most are getting to the right places for assistance. We further collaborate with the National Science Foundation and NBC Learn on our program to inspire the next generation of scientists and engineers. And it's called The Science of Innovation. Has anyone seen it? It's kind of cool. If you want to see a 3D printed heart, you can go to the USPTO's YouTube channel. Yeah, I know. We're so cool. We have a YouTube channel. And watch some of the science of innovation videos. For those of you who have teachers in your lives, we make lesson plans that go along with those science of innovation videos. So it's quite worth checking out. And again, we're here at conferences like this to advertise our programs, to help you out, to give you information. And we collaborate with our elected officials like Senator Lee for the mutual support of the communities that we both serve. We have the same goal of promoting American innovation and economic success. And I can tell you that I know that Senator Lee and his staff and my colleagues at the USPTO work tirelessly to do so. I could go on and on about the amazing ways my agency is innovating, but I am very close to the wire on my time, so I would like to close by leaving you with a challenge. I would like to challenge each and every one of you to come and engage and collaborate with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Whether you call me or any of my colleagues or staff, or visit a PTRC, or use a law school clinic or the pro bono program, attend an event that we host, or even come knocking on our door at the regional office in Denver, which you are all most welcome to do, let's get creative and work together to make sure we are serving the needs of Utah's entrepreneurial community as best as we possibly can. Thank you.